campus killer. At Virginia State University, there's a serial killer on the loose. Growing up, Isabella's mother had made her watch murder shows with her, which eventually turned her into a paranoid 20-year-old who's afraid of her own shadow. Isabella's mother had heard of the killings and begged her to come home, but she couldn't just up and leave in the middle of the semester. She just had to stick it out and hope for the best. Isabella wouldn't be worried if the killer had a pattern, but he didn't. He killed men and women. Nobody was safe. So far, 8 students had been murdered, 6 males and 2 females. He branded them too, as if he were proud of what he did. He carved what number victims they were on their foreheads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hey! Isabella's train of thought was interrupted by her roommate Emma. Hey! Isabella greeted. How's it out there? Pretty quiet. Besides the police cars patrolling, Emma replied, getting a yogurt out of their fridge and plopping down into the armchair. Looks like the hash-slinging slasher couldn't wait until midterms were over to begin his little killing spree. Tell me about it, Isabella muttered, flipping through another page in her binder. I'm up to here in study notes. The entire coffee table was scattered with mathematical equations, scientific equations, and 2 English lit books that Isabella had yet to read for next week. No one told you to take 18 units, Emma taunted, skipping a spoonful of yogurt into Isabella's mouth. Okay, so, sorry. I'll tell you what, let's go to the library. We still got a few hours to kill before curfew anyway. I got some studying to do too, Isabella sighed. She'd been in their cramped dorm all day. Maybe a change of scenery would help her focus a bit more. Yeah, sure, why not? I'll try anything at this point, Isabella muttered, and she gathered her things. Emma was right. It was terrifyingly quiet outside. Everyone was too scared to come out of their rooms, even though the murders usually took place in the early morning or late at night. Not ever though. Isabella guessed Emma wasn't afraid of anything. Surprisingly, there were quite a bit of students in the library despite everything going on. Midterms were still taking place, which to Isabella was a good thing. It kept them distracted from the ugliest outside. What type of rock is this? Emma asked, pointing to a sandy and crumbly rock in a geology textbook. Sedimentary, Isabella mumbled, then went back to solving equations. They studied in silence after that, Emma occasionally asking about another rock she couldn't identify. Having a change of scenery actually did help Isabella concentrate better. All she had left to do was read the 2 English lit books. An hour later, and Isabella closed her geology book. I'm beat. Want me to wait for you? She raised her hand, not bothering to look up from her book. Now go ahead. I'll be there in half an hour. Okay, see you later, Emma owned before gathering her things and leaving the library. The second book was much bigger, but Isabella figured she could read at least a quarter of it before curfew and continue the rest over the weekend. It was a combination of Othello, Hamlet, Alexander Pope's essay criticism, and about 3 or 4 other stories. Isabella'd finished Othello and gotten to Hamlet when she looked at the library clock. 9:15 p.m. Oh crap, curfew was at 8:30. I'm dead, she whispered and furiously gathered her things. She hadn't even noticed she was the last one there. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. She ran out the door, dropping at least 2 of her pens on the process. It was eerily silent, even more silent than it was earlier. With a nervous sigh, she began. However, with her huge bag and textbooks, it would probably take 25. She pulled out her phone and called Emma, who answered on the first ring. "Where the hell are you? I've been calling you for over an hour." I know, I'm sorry. I lost track of time. I'll be there soon. Okay? I'm meeting you halfway." "Emma, no. Just stay there. Look, if I'm not home by 9:50, then come look for me or call the cops. It's too dangerous for you to leave." She huffed in irritation. "Fine. 9:50, not a minute sooner." She hung up before Isabella could reply, and she sighed tiredly, stuffing her phone into her pocket. Breaking curfew. 2. Isabella jumped a million feet in the air, her heart leaping out of her chest as she spun around and met the green eyes of a man. He smiled and ran a hand through his hair. "I saw you in the library. Figured you could use the guardian angel," he said. I'm okay. "My dorm isn't far from here," Isabella replied. "I insist. A lady shouldn't be out by herself at these hours, especially not with a killer on the loose." "I can manage. You can never be too safe. Name's Ethan, by the way," he said, walking alongside her, much to Isabella's dismay. "Nice to meet you," she replied. "Are you not going to give me your name?" "No." Ethan chuckled. "All right, fair enough. What year are you in?" "Junior, senior, chemistry major." "That's nice." He raised an eyebrow. "You don't talk much, do you? Not to strangers in the middle of the night, in particular." "No," Isabella said again. He chuckled. "I can respect that. I promise you, I'm not a killer, just looking out." I know I was being kind of a jerk at this point, but something about this guy just seemed off. I couldn't pinpoint it, but my gut instinct told me this guy was bad news. It was still a 10 or so minute walk to Isabella's dorm, so when he came across the north dorms, she took this as her chance to book it. "This is my stop," she said, stopping in front of the building. Thanks for the walk to my dorm. I mean," he smiled, white teeth shining against the darkness of the night. "Don't mention it." "Hey, listen, I know this is a bit straightforward, but could I get your number?" My small smile faded. I am sorry. I don't know you. I don't just give out my number like that, Ethan." Gritting her teeth, Isabella turned to walk off when one of his arms suddenly wrapped around her in a bear hug and the other clamped over her mouth. "You do owe me," he sneered, dragging her towards the woods, and she quickly planted her feet into her fighting stance. She stepped on his foot as hard as she could and slammed her head into his mouth once he released her. I spun around and elbowed him in the throat. I must have hit his Adam's apple pretty hard because he gurgled and fell to the ground. A man's groin and throat are always his weak spots. He tried to crawl away, and I kicked him in the head. "Well, that's 9 in a row that the terrified, innocent little girl act works," she said, taking her knife out of her back pocket. She flipped Ethan over and pressed her foot into his throat, feeling the crack of what was left of his Adam's apple. "When a girl says no, Ethan, she means no," she sneered and stomped his throat. His blank green eyes stared up at the sky, and she smoked after carving the number 9 into his forehead. I quickly ran to my dorm before Emma could throw a fit. After scolding me for breaking curfew, she went to her room and I went to mine. I wasn't supposed to have a number 9 tonight, but Ethan just had to show up and not give me a break. If you're reading this far, please don't think I'm some monster who targets random individuals, because I'm not. I target those who do nothing but inflict pain. Partner abusers, women abusers, child abusers, and so forth. I think I do a pretty good deed, don't you? As Isabella was about to go to sleep, her friend rang. "Sing my best friend's name on it." Isabella quickly answered, "Hello? Hey, how were things over there?" I sighed. I didn't have anything planned, but I got attacked and had to improvise. Aside from that, all is well. That was number 9. One more to go. I know, you can do this. Think of the next person you're saving whenever you have to do it. Yeah, I know. I can always count on you. If you have no idea how proud I am of you, Chloe.